Greetings, fellow humans. It's been a while. Just had a new baby. So there's all the fun that comes with that. He's about a month old now. Sweet baby Charlie. Yep. So the game development has been actually not as sparse as you would think, because it helps that I mostly sit down whenever I work on game development, so then I'm able to hold him, while he's behaving and not screaming, and then I can draw some monsters up. It works out pretty good. But a lot to cover right now, because I had 2 weeks basically of we were getting acclimated with the baby, but also I was able to really work on this new deck builder game. I know a while back I had talked about doing that cult game, and I'll be showing some video of that while I'm just talking about it. But I was basically recreating Dragon's Bane as a newer version of it that was more sustainable, able to be worked on, but it was the same gameplay. And I had been doing some research on metrics in Steam, and apparently deck builders are pretty hot commodity, and I enjoy deck builders personally. So I thought it'd be cool to take what I was doing with this and try and turn it into a deck builder, which I am very much full steam ahead in that process actually now. It's actually turning out pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. It's different than it's a different genre, and it's I'm able to get back into the pixel art like I wanted to. I'd wanted to get better at pixel art because it just feels like such a niche art style. It's old school, and growing up in the 90s, all the NES fans out there, y'all can all pretty much appreciate that. And there's just something like to that dark, gritty art style, like blasphemous style art in the pixel art is it's appealing. So looking forward to drawing out some cool landscapes and more monsters and whatnot. But the mechanics are very cool for a deck builder, just being able to think of whatever you could come up with, and then drawing an interesting art style to it, kind of like I played a lot of Magic the Gathering, and I was always a fan of how kind of they did that as well. It's like kind of gritty art for just random random events or actions and stuff like that. So I was really trying to sell that with this, and so far it's coming out pretty cool. The general idea for it is I'll have a heavy story theme for it, and you'll be basically like the lord of this town that you get rescued by, and you'll be able to upgrade the NPCs, and they'll unlock different tiers of cards that you'll be able to purchase with gold that you'll acquire from the runs. And you'll also basically have 3 areas that you'll be able to go into, and there's 3 factions, and if you align with the factions, it'll have effects on the townspeople, and I hope to reflect that in the art. How the characters end up looking, if they look all shriveled up from you aligning from a dark faction. It'll be cool to see all that go down. And so that's Blade of the Cultist, in the works. Hopefully I'll have a demo for that pretty soon. Before I had jumped into that, I actually had a game. Probably a handful of people watching this have already played it. It's called Broken Realms, and that one's been just something I've been messing around with here and there. I'd made it a phone game. It's an RPG, and I'll put some video up of basically the play style of it, but it's meant to be played on a phone, and unfortunately Apple is difficult to make package from Unity and be able to just plop it onto a phone. It's easier with Android, so all you iPhone users, I'm sorry about that. It's not my fault. Your iOS is difficult to crack into. But the Android users, hopefully you're enjoying, what's out there so far. But my son actually, Sam, he's almost 4, and he really likes that game on my phone. And he was the one that pretty much got me back interested in working. Adding, I added a new level and 2 new monsters and 2, obviously the armor sets and all that go with it, the werebear and the giant stag or great stag or whatever. But just interesting, I was in a slump with working in that dev space, not really interested in any one game in particular. I'd been working on Radio Silent for a while, and I kind of needed a break, and I wanted to work on something different, but I just wasn't sure. And so then seeing him get into that game on my phone again, inspired me to go back and add more to it. So anybody who enjoys that update, you have my son to thank for that. But it's cool. It's nice being able to just go back and add things willy-nilly to that game. It's pretty casual RPG, but people do have fun with it. I also added a skill tree. So now whenever you level up, you can, you have the power to really hone in on whether or not you want to go into certain elemental types. And there's a few bugs I need to tweak, but I would like to eventually make a physical damage tree in that, but that's more to come down the line. I also didn't want to veer too far away from working on Radio Silent, so recently I've been getting back into that, and I'd like to make this not a final push, but I'd like to make a big push to put the finishing touches on that game as far as what I had in mind for the complete package, which is the anomaly levels, which is what I've been working on recently. So that update will have the new classes. So it's going to be the flamethrower class and the acid sprayer, which I was trying to stick with the theme of like Vietnam era space marine type. So I named, apparently they used to call the flamethrower guys in Vietnam Zippos was a nickname. So I called it the Zippo class, and Death's Breath for the acid sprayer. But basically those are going to be, I actually have gameplay I'll post right here of that as well. But those classes are in the game now, not officially, still work in progress, but they are in, and their mechanics are working. So basically with those, you've got dots on your weapons now, and the idea is that you'll be able to have low damage, but your dots will, tick down the enemy. It's different play style. The acid guy, I'll probably make it to where his acid spray will slow enemies down a bit, but just something to change it up. And that actually presented an interesting mechanic that I figured might be enjoyable to show the viewer. If I can, let's see here. I'm going to try to lower myself in here. Oh, I'm shrinking it in again. Now you can see kind of what's going on here. I figured I'd show a little behind the scenes of what's going on with that. Most people don't really get to see how game mechanics work. They just see them work, and this is how I went about making that damage over time effect happen with these new classes. So basically you have, originally I had just the garlic AoE, which was that big AoE around the character. Once you picked it up, that special ability, and you'd walk around, and if an enemy went into that AoE, he would start taking damage. And now I've got it to where you have indicators over the enemy's head whenever they're actually taking damage from the dot that's on them. But this is how it went down. I basically had all this in this enemy class, and I put it into its own class, and then made a prefab to where it tracks itself. So anytime you like pop an enemy with your gun, let's say you have your you got your flamethrower, right? This is how it happens. You shoot your flamethrower, and that's an object floating through space, and that has a collider on it. So then once it hits an enemy, it goes through this process right here. And there may be some people that are watching this that are much more skilled at programming in C# than I, but you know what? This worked. So I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but you know, I was trying to get this bad boy to work. But it goes through this process, and it ends up, you know, I put an enum of the damage type. So if it checks out that it's either a fire or acid, then it'll proc this. It'll give it a dot right here. And then once it does that, it will give it the duration of the dot on the enemy, and also the tick rate, because those are all things that you can level up, right, permanently or in the game. That's like one of the neat little things. You can pretty much break different mechanics apart and make it to where you can upgrade different things. So that's what all this is right here. And this is basically if you have like a static beginning timer, and then if you do upgrade your dot tick rate, then that's how it's calculated right here. So then it's got a timer, and originally I had all of this basically on the enemy stats class, and I try to keep them clean, so there was just way too much. This is like an entire mechanic basically of its own, so I didn't want to clutter this up too much with that. So that's whenever I ended up putting it right here. And now the beauty of that is I don't have to worry about creating 3 different timers, because I don't want it, I didn't want to have one single timer affecting 3 different dots. I wanted them to be managing themselves. So now they do that. So you basically have, hit them with a dot, goes through. If it's got a duration, calculates all that out. And then once it's done, then it pops off of the enemy, or it kills them. And that's basically how that works. Pretty cool little behind the scenes deal. But another thing was the anomaly monster, and I'll show you that as well. I just drew this bad boy up recently. So this guy right here is going to be the main bad guy that's going to spawn for this. And the anomaly levels will be basically just levels of difficulty that you can crank up voluntarily on the existing levels, and they'll affect the levels in different ways. But you'll have, different art layered on top of the existing levels, but you'll also have this monster that'll appear randomly. And the mechanic with this guy, the dark matter, is basically the resource that you're trying to get from these new levels, right? So then the dark matter is going to be how you're going to unlock these new classes, probably have new equipment as well to unlock with that. But the only way to get it is with this guy right here. So he'll spawn every couple minutes or whatever, kind of like a little mini boss. And he won't be pursuing the player. He'll probably be shooting projectiles at the player, but he'll be pursuing these dark matter clusters. And then you are able to either let him eat the dark matter and grow in health and damage for every one of them that he eats. But that'll be something you'll have to manage. It's like a risk-reward deal. So then if you let him eat too many and he gets too strong, he'll either kill you or he's only in the level for a certain duration of time. He'll probably appear multiple times on the same level, but he'll go away, after a minute or two. So it'll be gauging like, oh man, I want to try and maximize the amount of dark matter that I get, so I'm going to let him eat, a certain amount. But then if he gets too strong, you might not kill him, or he kills you. And so the way to gauge that is, you'll be able to shoot the dark matter clusters and blow them up before he eats them. So that'll be how you kind of manage that. But that's kind of the mechanic that I'm going to try and shoot for with this guy. And I think it'll be cool. I'll also hopefully be putting in a leaderboard with that, because I feel like that would drive, if you see your buddies crushing anomaly level like 50 and you're only, hitting the lower anomaly levels, then that'll drive, incentive to play. Also, the dark matter that you'll get from these new levels is going to be able to be used for your prestige level. So that's mostly probably what people are going to be pumping that into, because once you unlock the new classes and the new equipment, then that's kind of, there's not a whole lot after that. But then if you're able to infinitely buff up your existing player class levels, and that's definitely going to be something that people are going to pump into. And the player class levels are basically like affect, let's say you're the shotgun guy. I think whenever he levels up, all of his his bonuses are HP, so he gains bonus HP for every prestige level that he has, and that bonus affects all of your classes. So you leveling up your different classes affects all of them. You get bonus damage and bonus crit and all that other jazz. Fun fact, I totally jacked that mechanic from Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer. It was fantastic. I'm pretty sure I played the multiplayer for that game more than the actual single player game, which is pretty funny. It was like a souped up version of Gauntlet Legends. Pretty fantastic. And on that note, I forgot to mention that I was for Blade of the Cultist, the new deck builder that I'm working on. My homework has been Balatro. I've been playing the crap out of that game. It's pretty fun. If you're looking for a deck builder that is based in poker and all that jazz, it's pretty fun. I'll post a little pic of what that looks like, but quite enjoyable. And that's pretty much it. I'll be hopefully rolling this update out within a couple weeks, and just stay tuned. I'll be posting updates. Peace out, peeps.